Thank you, Camille, for joining us again today on Rooted in Transitions. Today, we're going to be talking about mental health issues. It's near and dear to both of our hearts. I'm in the industry. I have lived experience in my family, and you also do too. One of the things that we have shared in this project is that moving and certainly moving to a new country is one of the most stressful life experiences one can have. And oftentimes that comes with navigating a new healthcare system. For some of the individuals that we have even invited to this project, they make the move because there's a family member who is in need of services that they may not have access to in the Caribbean. Other individuals have themselves or family members who later on in life in this new place develop a mental health issue and have to figure it all out. And so the third part sounds like it's what is in your story, that you've had a relative who developed a mental health issue and you have had to figure it out. Tell us a little bit about that part of your story.
Thank you, Flavia. I do have one of my daughters. She has a bipolar condition. When she was young, she went from being a straight A student to failing in school, and this is in primary school. And I had her evaluated. She went through a series of tests, and they told me at the time that she is borderline attention deficit. She was put on the modified, I think it's called a 5045 IEP. I'm sorry, there was a modified plan for her. And, but the school that she was at, her condition was so mild that it was barely used. It flared up for her in high school. She had to be hospitalized. She wasn't able to attend her graduation. This was the first of many hospitalizations for her because at that point, she was then diagnosed with bipolar disorder. She is, the one thing that helped me throughout this process is that my daughter, we have her older sister, immediately became the go-between. I don't know how else to say this any better, but she stood up as a big sister. So when she was younger in school, they're both about 20 months apart. We both realized that she had a condition, and we were always looking out for her sister even more so. Both sisters have a really good, close relationship. But then my older daughter started working for a major hospital, Johns Hopkins, in different capacities. And by the time my daughter had her second episode, which at this time was in college, my daughter stepped in and basically became the mom or became the parent. My daughter lived only 10 minutes away from the hospital, and she was able to negotiate the whole process, reaching out to the insurance companies, contacting the hospitals, confirming that there's bed space, checking her in, making sure that our names are on the call and authorization list. She basically stepped up, and because of her experience working for a hospital, she knew what questions to ask. She knew what things to look out for, what questions to ask insurance companies, double checking on outpatient services. What is it that our insurance companies our insurance will and will not cover? And she has been invaluable for me throughout this process. I know that many people wouldn't have that opportunity, would not have that sort of leaning on having somebody else be that forerunner or the advocate. But I think it's so important for folks to really think about or understand what sort of services and opportunities that are out there. And especially when you're in the middle of it, it's really hard, especially when it's your own immediate family member. A lot of emotions come into play. The phone calls coming, seeing as when she's hospitalized, the only numbers that she knows is my number and my daughter's number. And you have to be mentally prepared for phone calls, depending on her state of mind, how to react, how to deal with it, how to contact her counselor in person, her doctor, what questions to ask. And I'm babbling. But for the most part, I think what my experience has been not as challenging as most, because I had a leg up with someone who was in the health field working with me on her care.
Let's rewind a little bit and start with some of the basics. Talk to us about what is bipolar disorder. And the reason I'm asking this question is because I've heard many individuals just throw around that phrase, oh, this person is so bipolar. Or do you think they're bipolar if the person seems to be moody? Based on your intimate experience, what is bipolar disorder?
Well, I guess for me, it goes in stages for me, because my daughter was initially diagnosed with a minor attention deficit. And at that point, it was that she is easily distracted, there are certain things that had to be put in place in order to keep her engaged. When she's focused, but when she's not, you cannot tell because she's not hyperactive. Bipolar for me, my layman's definition of it is I wouldn't say extreme mood swings, but I think for my daughter's condition, she gets very anxious. And when she gets anxious, she spirals. And I think it's a really extreme, emotions are on two wide wavelengths. When she's happy, she's extremely happy. Everything is on cloud nine. And when she's extremely upset or angry, oh gosh, it goes all the way to the opposite end. And I think what has happened is because I went through a really bad divorce, she got angry at her father, and she had no other way of expressing that anger except through me. And I've gotten the brunt of it. So I think it's just bipolar is just an extreme emotional swing. And it's very difficult for her to modulate it, to be on an even keel, even with positive affirmations and a number of different things. Anything that would stress her would cause a major spiral. And then there's a lack of sleep. And then there's the mind is constantly running. It just exacerbates the condition even more. That's my non-medical definition of bipolar.
Mm-hmm, that's great. 3 takeaway points here from what you have just shared. One, it is serious,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where for many individuals, it can lead to a hospitalization. It is not simply just an up and down mood swing. It has great impact on the functioning of the individual that has the diagnosis. 2, it is not something that people can control.
Mm-hmm.
You said that she can't modulate it. And so oftentimes there has to be an intervention to halt the process before it gets worse.
Mm-hmm.
3, it impacts the persons who are around them. You never really know with the phone calls what's going to happen, what you're going to hear on the phone call. The part that you said about expressing anger is separate from the disorder, but I think is a really important piece, because oftentimes it is the parent who might be present or the parent who might appear to have more control that gets the brunt of the negative energy, even if they're making the most effort, or even if they are making a huge sacrifice. It is just a common dynamic that exists if a child or adolescent is kind of processing their feelings and they don't really know where to place it. You become the receptacle. That's the best way for me to put it. One of the things that you also said is that you were fortunate enough to have another child who was very familiar with the hospital system. The whole process is overwhelming if you don't know how to navigate the system. It's hard to understand because it's not something you learn in school. And not everybody has a relative who goes to the hospital. And when a person goes to the hospital, there's so many emotions that come on board that are difficult to manage. And so you're right, it's not just knowing the system, it's knowing how to advocate for yourself, the kinds of questions to ask, who can help pay, where to go for additional resources. And so these are some things that come up in the process. Now, if you don't have a relative or a friend that you can call on, one of the things that might be helpful is if you ask the social worker or the doctor, okay, what are the steps that I need to take? Sometimes just prompting the provider with that question can help them organize themselves to help you better. Mm-hmm. Or to say, doctor, I just don't know what to do or what to do next. What resources are available? Who can I turn to? What can I do? What's the kind of advice that you typically give to someone else who has the same condition? Are some of the things that you can ask to advocate for yourself. Talk to us now about one of the things that has made the biggest difference in your daughter's well-being and recovery.
Well, I think for us, is that the three of us are pretty tight-knit. Mm-hmm. We talk to her, especially when she comes out of the hospital on a regular basis. We make sure that anything that needs to be done, following up with her primary care or psychiatrist or social worker, we double check, because now she's an adult. And so we want to make sure that she is still, we make sure that she takes her meds. We make sure that she is doing the things that needs to get done. So there's a lot of follow-up that needs to be managed for her. The question again is on...
Well, what's made the biggest difference in her recovery, in your recovery as a family? And you've actually answered the question. Okay. Basically, it sounds like you have a tight-knit family, you're supportive of each other, you respect her independence and autonomy as an adult, but still are supportive of her needs, ensuring that she is taking care of herself with the different kinds of treatment modalities that she's using. One of them is medication. And so it sounds to me that you have answered that question. What is the biggest takeaway that you have gotten from this process as a caretaker? How has it helped you to grow as a person?
I thought about that, and I think if I had to do the biggest single thing, I think, is not to, you have to put yourself first, your mental and physical well-being, because you need to be strong in order to be strong for the person that is going through that mental issue. And what I've done is that I've always made sure that my physical fitness is done first thing in the morning. I'm up at 4:30, I'm at the gym at 5. I'm a member of a walking crew. I work out 6 days out of 7, and I do it first thing in the morning. So I take care of me first. Um, and that has helped me to mentally be prepared for a very full job, and also be prepared for whatever comes my way, whether it's a interesting phone call. And as we were having this conversation, my daughter called, but just being able to be mentally prepared for it. I think physical and mental health is important. And gosh, I can't even tell you which one comes first. But if you're not physically ready, um, your mental and physically and mental, it's best to have them both working at fully.
Great piece of advice. Mommy has to be okay.
Yes.
Mommy needs to be taken care of for her to take care of other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have to do that, not just for me, but for her as well, and from both my girls. I think the importance of destigmatizing mental health is important. I don't know, you said single most, but I also want to just put that in.
Add away.
I think it's so important for us to normalize mental health. And especially since COVID, we all realize that mental health is important. We've all survived a major pandemic. And all of us, I don't know unless you're living under a rock, all of us have gone through some level of mental stress because of the pandemic. And that has helped to make mental health less of a stigma, but it's still a long way to go in making that change. And I talk openly about my daughter, bipolar, only because I want it to be something that's not hidden under the rug, not looked at strangely. She by all means is normal. It's just that she just has a condition, just like diabetes or just like any other physical condition. In her case, it's just a mental condition that just needs to be taken care of. The more I talk about it with folks, the less it becomes a stigma, at least for me and that for my immediate friends and family.
Absolutely. Because it's no longer a secret. There is not something that is shaming about it. It encourages other people to be vulnerable, to say in their minds, okay, someone else is experiencing that exact same thing as me.
And I guess because my personality is I'm an extrovert, I have no qualms in sharing. I don't think there's any major skeletons in my closet, but I make sure that it's not something that I feel shame about. I'm not ashamed that my daughter has a condition because it's not something that it's something that she was born with. And so I have to accept her as a whole person. And I'm not afraid to be vocal about it.
I love that so much, that you have to accept her as a whole person. She's your daughter and that's how she was made. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey family, if you're finding value in our content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us reach more Caribbean immigrants who need guidance, encouragement, and a safe space to talk about mental health. Let's build this community together because our well-being matters. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. One love.